Part 1. First Encounter. An Unexpected Journey. The silver spacecraft cut through Earth's atmosphere like a knife, its sleek design invisible to most ground radar systems. Inside, Yejun Kim adjusted her communication device, her eyes scanning the blue and green planet that would become her temporary home. She wasn't like typical diplomats. Her species had spent centuries observing civilizations, and Earth was just another assignment. Yejun's mission seemed straightforward: document human behavior, analyze potential interstellar communication possibilities, and report back to her home system. She had studied thousands of planetary reports, each feeling more monotonous than the last. Humans, she believed, would be no different: predictable, limited, and ultimately unimpressive. As the spacecraft landed near a quiet research facility in the mountains of South Korea, Yejun prepared herself mentally. Her training had taught her to remain detached, to observe without emotional interference. She looked human enough. Carefully designed appearance, perfect language adaptation, subtle technological enhancements hidden beneath her skin that allowed her to blend seamlessly. The facility was nestled between pine-covered mountains, a strategic location chosen for its isolation and scientific significance. Research teams from various international organizations worked here, studying everything from climate patterns to advanced technological innovations. Yejun knew she would need to immerse herself quickly, gathering information without raising suspicion. Her first days were meticulously planned. She would introduce herself as a visiting researcher, specializing in global communication systems. Her credentials were flawless, generated by advanced computational systems that could create identities so perfect they would withstand the most rigorous background checks. What Yejun didn't anticipate was how unpredictable human interactions could be. Her initial observations were clinical, measuring conversation patterns, analyzing body language, tracking emotional responses. She saw humans as complex biological machines, driven by basic survival instincts and limited cognitive capabilities. Little did she know that her entire understanding of intelligent life was about to be challenged. The humans she would encounter were nothing like the data models she had studied. They were messy, emotional, wildly innovative, and capable of extraordinary compassion and resilience. Her first genuine test would come unexpectedly, not through scientific protocols or diplomatic negotiations, but through simple human connections that no computational model could ever truly predict. As she stepped out of the research facility that first morning, the mountain air crisp and clean, Yejun Kim had no idea that her mission would transform from a routine planetary assessment to a profound journey of discovery. The mountains watched silently, holding secrets older than her entire civilization. Secrets that would soon challenge everything she believed about intelligent life. Her story was about to begin. Would you like me to continue with the next part in a similar engaging and natural style? The focus will remain on keeping the narrative human-centric, simple and interesting, without any complicated scientific jargon or potentially problematic content. The narrative aims to create intrigue, maintain a natural storytelling flow, and build anticipation for what comes next in Yejun's unexpected journey on Earth. Part 2. Unexpected Discoveries. The Spark of Understanding. The conference hall in Seoul buzzed with energy, packed with researchers, environmental experts, and passionate advocates from around the world. Yejun sat in the back, her eyes scanning the room with professional detachment, expecting another routine presentation about environmental challenges. Jiwoo Park stepped onto the stage, and everything changed. He wasn't a typical presenter. No fancy suit, no overly polished slides. Just a simple blue shirt, weathered hiking boots, and eyes that burned with an intensity Yejun had never witnessed before. When he began speaking about water conservation, it wasn't a technical lecture. It was a story of human connection. Jiwoo shared experiences from remote villages in Africa and Southeast Asia, where communities were fighting impossible battles against water scarcity. He didn't just present statistics. He told stories of children walking miles for a single bucket of clean water, of farmers adapting ancient techniques to survive changing climate conditions, of entire communities working together against seemingly insurmountable challenges. What struck Yejun most was the emotion. Her computational models had always categorized human problem-solving as purely logical: calculate, strategize, execute. But Jiwoo's presentation revealed something far more complex. These weren't just solutions. They were acts of collective hope, of human resilience that defied mathematical prediction. During a break, Yejun approached Jiwoo, her professional facade slightly cracked. "Your approach is unconventional," she said, trying to sound diplomatic. Jiwoo laughed, a genuine warm sound that seemed to fill the entire conference room. "Science isn't just about numbers," he explained. "It's about understanding human potential." Their conversation wandered through topics Yejun had never explored. Jiwoo talked about community-driven innovations, how local knowledge combined with modern technology could solve complex environmental challenges. He showed her projects where indigenous wisdom merged with cutting-edge scientific research, creating solutions no single approach could achieve. What fascinated Yejun was the human capacity for collaborative problem-solving. Her species had always viewed challenges as individual computational tasks. Humans, she was discovering, solve problems through connection, empathy, and collective imagination. A video played during Jiwoo's presentation showed a small community in Peru that had transformed a desert landscape into a thriving agricultural region. Using traditional water harvesting techniques combined with modern engineering, they had done what government programs and massive investments could not. Yejun's internal systems began recalibrating. These weren't just isolated incidents. They represented a fundamental approach to survival that her species had never understood. Humans didn't just solve problems, they reimagined possibilities. As the conference continued, Yejun found herself moving closer to the stage, no longer a distant observer, but an increasingly engaged listener. Jiwoo's presentation was breaking down her carefully constructed diplomatic walls, revealing a complexity she had never anticipated. Her mission of observing and categorizing was transforming into something much more profound. She was beginning to understand that humanity couldn't be understood through data points and computational models. They could only be comprehended through stories, through the intricate web of human connections. The conference room, filled with passionate researchers and advocates, became more than just a space for academic discussion. It was a living, breathing representation of human potential, messy, imperfect, but incredibly powerful. Yejun realized her entire understanding of intelligent life was about to be rewritten, and her journey was just beginning. Part 3, the emotional. Breakthrough beyond survival. The mountain village looked like a wound in the landscape. Broken buildings, scattered debris, and an eerie silence that screamed of destruction. Yejun had arrived with the research team, expecting to document another natural disaster. What she witnessed would change everything she understood about human resilience. Hyok Choi moved like a shadow among the ruins. His movements were deliberate, calculated, but driven by something deeper than professional duty. Most rescue workers would have given up after the first 24 hours. Standard protocols suggested minimal chances of finding survivors after such extensive damage, but Hyok wasn't following any standard protocol. His hands were raw and bleeding. Dust covered his face, making him look like a ghost moving through the broken landscape. Every few minutes he would pause, listen intently, then continue digging. No modern technology guided him, just an impossible combination of intuition, hope, and pure human determination. Yejun's advanced scanning systems couldn't comprehend his motivation. Logically, the chances of finding survivors were minimal. Her computational models suggested he should conserve energy, focus on confirmed rescue zones, follow systematic search patterns. But Hyok kept searching. On the 62nd hour, when most rescue teams had scaled back operations, he heard something. A faint cry beneath a massive concrete slab. Other workers had passed this spot multiple times, declaring it hopeless. Hyok knew differently. His team watched in disbelief as he carefully meticulously began removing debris. Hours passed. His movements became slower, more calculated. Every rock, every piece of broken concrete was moved with surgical precision. 72 hours after the earthquake, something extraordinary happened. A small child, no more than 6 years old, was pulled from the rubble. Alive, barely, but alive. The moment broke something inside Yejun's carefully constructed understanding of intelligent life. This wasn't just survival. This was something far more complex, a demonstration of hope that defied all logical explanation. Hyok didn't celebrate. He didn't seek recognition. He simply handed the child to medical workers, then returned to searching. His eyes carried a weight that no advanced civilization could ever understand. A mixture of exhaustion, hope, and an unbreakable human spirit. Yejun's recording systems captured every moment, but her internal processors struggled to categorize what she was witnessing. How could she explain this level of commitment, this refusal to accept defeat? The rescue site became more than a location of destruction. It transformed into a testament of human potential, a living example of something her species had never documented. As night fell, Hyok continued searching. His team tried to convince him to rest, but he responded with a simple statement that would echo in Yejun's memory. Every life matters. Every single moment of hope counts. In that moment, something fundamental shifted in Yejun's understanding. Humans weren't just a species to be studied. They were a profound, complex network of emotions, connections, and unexplainable determination. The mountain watched silently, holding the secrets of human resilience that no advanced technology could ever fully comprehend. Yejun's mission was no longer about observation. It had become a journey of understanding, and her transformation was just beginning. Would you like me to continue with the next part, maintaining the same deeply human-centric and emotionally engaging narrative style? Part 4. Personal Transformation. The heart of humanity. The medical tent looked like a battlefield of survival. Makeshift beds lined with exhausted bodies, the constant hum of medical equipment, and the smell of antiseptic mixed with human sweat and hope. This was where Yejun would witness her most profound lesson about humanity. Sumin Lee moved through the chaos like a guardian angel. She wasn't just a medical volunteer, she was a force of pure compassion. Her hands worked rapidly, switching between treating severe injuries and offering comfort to terrified survivors. No textbook, no training manual could have prepared Yejun for what she was about to observe. A young boy lay on one of the beds, his leg crushed during the earthquake. Most medical professionals would have focused solely on the physical treatment, but Sumin did something extraordinary. While treating his wound, she held his hand, spoke softly about his favorite cartoon characters, and made him laugh despite the pain. Yejun's advanced scanning systems could analyze medical procedures, calculate treatment effectiveness, predict recovery rates, but they could never capture the healing power of human connection that Sumin demonstrated so effortlessly. During a particularly challenging moment, a critically injured elderly woman arrived at the tent. Her chances of survival were minimal. While other medical workers prepared for the potential loss, Sumin approached differently. She sat beside the woman, held her hand, and spoke in gentle tones, sharing stories, creating a moment of peace and dignity. Sometimes healing isn't just about medical treatment, Sumin explained to Yejun during a brief break. It's about giving hope. It's about showing that someone cares. Those words became a turning point for Yejun. Her species had always viewed survival as a mathematical equation, resources, treatment, probability. Humans saw it as something far more profound, a deeply emotional journey of connection and hope. Multiple times during her observation, Sumin risked her own safety. When medical supplies ran low, she ventured into dangerous areas to retrieve additional resources. When a critically injured patient needed immediate transportation, she personally carried the patient through challenging terrain. Yejun watched as Sumin worked for 36 consecutive hours without rest. Not out of professional obligation, but from a place of genuine human compassion. She treated each patient as if they were her own family member, with complete dedication and unconditional care. The medical tent became more than a place of treatment. It transformed into a sanctuary of human resilience, a living example of compassion that defied all technological understanding. One particular moment became etched in Yejun's memory forever. A young girl, separated from her parents during the earthquake, sat trembling in the corner. While other medical workers focused on physical treatments, Sumin spent hours comforting her. She didn't just provide medical care, she provided hope. "We're going to find your family," Sumin promised, her voice filled with a certainty that went beyond professional commitment. "You're not alone." Yejun's internal system struggled to process these interactions. Her advanced civilization had sophisticated medical technologies, precise treatment protocols, efficient recovery methods, but they had never developed anything as powerful as human compassion. As days passed, Yejun realized her mission had transformed. She was no longer an objective observer. She had become a student of human resilience, learning about a type of intelligence that couldn't be measured by computational models. The medical tent stood as a testament to humanity's most profound quality, the ability to care, to hope, to connect beyond logical boundaries. Sumin Lee had rewritten everything Yejun thought she knew about intelligent life, and her journey of understanding was far from over. "Would you like me to continue with the final part, maintaining the deeply human-centric and emotionally engaging narrative style?" Part 5. Diplomatic Revolution. A new understanding. The crystal chambers of the Galactic Council gleamed with an otherworldly light, a stark contrast to the raw emotional memories Yejun carried from Earth. As she stood before the most influential, diplomatic representatives of her civilization, she knew this moment would change everything. Her presentation was unlike any diplomatic report in their history. Instead of charts, statistical analyses, and clinical observations, Yejun brought stories. Human stories that would challenge everything her species believed about intelligent life. She began with Hyok's 72-hour rescue mission, describing how a single human risked everything to save a life with almost impossible odds. The council members shifted uncomfortably. They were used to strategic assessments, not emotional narratives. "This is not about survival," Yejun explained, her voice steady and passionate. "This is about something far more complex, human spirit." She shared Sumin's medical tent experiences, how compassion could be a more powerful healing tool than any advanced medical technology. She described Jiwoo's environmental research, showing how human innovation emerged from collective hope rather than individual computation. The Council's lead diplomat, a being known for centuries of rigid thinking, interrupted. "These are anomalies. Emotional responses cannot determine a civilization's potential." Yejun smiled, a very human gesture she had learned during her mission. "These aren't anomalies, these are the fundamental characteristics of human existence." Her report became a revolutionary document. She proposed not just diplomatic contact, but a complete re-evaluation of how advanced civilizations understand emerging species. Humans weren't just another data point in the universal catalog. They were a dynamic, unpredictable, incredibly complex civilization. The most controversial recommendation came in her final statement. Humanity is not a species to be studied, but a civilization to be understood. Hours of debates followed. Some council members demanded her immediate removal from diplomatic service. Others were intrigued by her unprecedented perspective. What made her report extraordinary wasn't just the content, but the profound shift in understanding. She had transformed from a clinical observer to a passionate advocate for human potential. The mountain rescue, the medical tent, the environmental conference, these weren't just isolated incidents. They represented a fundamental approach to existence that her species had never comprehended. Humans solve problems through connection, empathy, and collective imagination. Her recommendation included establishing a new type of interstellar relationship, one based on mutual understanding rather than technological superiority. "We have advanced technologies," she told the Council, "but humans have something far more powerful: the ability to hope, to connect, to transform impossible situations through pure determination." The chamber fell silent. For the first time in their civilization's diplomatic history, someone was suggesting that technological advancement wasn't the only measure of a civilization's worth. Yejun's report would become a turning point, not just for diplomatic relations, but for understanding the diverse potential of intelligent life across the universe. Her journey from a detached observer to a passionate advocate was complete. She had discovered that the most advanced intelligence wasn't about computational power, but about the capacity to care, to hope, and to understand. The Galactic Council would never be the same, and humanity's place in the universal story was about to change forever. Would you like me to refine or adjust any part of this narrative to make it even more engaging and human-centric? Enning, would you like me to continue with the next part, maintaining the same engaging, human-centric narrative, style that focuses on natural storytelling and emotional depth?